The challenges facing midstream companies are universal. Volatile oil and gas commodity prices, rapid build-outs in booming areas like the Permian, Marcellus, and Oklahoma's stack and scoop plays, and a raft load of regulations from Washington, state capitals, and various agencies. For large companies, compliance and new safety regs is part of the cost of doing business. But for small and mid-sized companies, those costs can cut deeply into budgets. How can a midstream company afford to protect both its assets and its profit margins? That's what we're going to explore. This is Midstream Connect. Thank you to our sponsors for making Midstream Connect possible.
We hear a lot from customers that are really looking for help to better understand from a compliance perspective what do they need to do for different types of assets, and how do they build that roadmap into full compliance in the future.
Welcome to what is affectionately known as the ROC. More formally, it is ROC, or the Remote Operations Center, a company based in Houston suburb of Katy, Texas. Its CEO is Louis Cranick.
I think the reality is there are a lot of pipeline operators now that are still trying to better understand and interpret and to improve the implementation of existing regulations. And so that's really to understand exactly what's required now and how do we continuously improve as an industry on implementing those regulations. And at the same time, having an eye on pending regulations that are out there. So what is the potential impact of some of the pending regulations? And at a high level, it could be a lot more requirements on existing pipelines that are currently regulated. It also means you could have the addition of pipeline segments and types of pipelines that were not traditionally regulated brought into the mix. So really you're looking at potentially more regulation across more pipelines. And it's a lot for an operator to consider. What's going to happen in the next 6 months or a year? I don't think anybody really knows, but to me, I would be really surprised if, as we go forward, I can't even imagine a scenario where over time, the industry doesn't continue to try to raise the bar when it comes to safety.
Of course, it's not always easy. Compliance can cost.
You can imagine that there are a number of smaller and medium-sized pipeline operators and midstream companies that the cost to comply with control room management regulations, one, require a large upfront capital expense, and two, require ongoing operating expenses that are typically a large portion of their overall operating expense. So we really have the opportunity to partner with those companies and provide a cost-effective solution.
And that's where the ROC and its state-of-the-art control room come in, providing visibility on pipeline systems across the country and identifying small problems before they turn into big ones.
The ROC really at its core, we are a third-party control room operator, meaning that we are 24/7 remotely monitoring and controlling pipeline facilities across the U.S. And we are helping operators to more efficiently run normal operating procedures by remotely controlling valves and pumps and compressors, all while having full system visibility so that we can recognize and respond to abnormal conditions or emergency conditions. And all of that we're doing while helping the customer be fully compliant with the control room management regulations. And when you think about those regulations, the same regulations and costs associated with those for a very small operator are very similar to a larger operators. You see a pretty highly competitive dynamic going on in the market right now. You have low commodity prices, and you also have a tremendous amount of companies out looking to acquire and build assets, which creates a large amount of competition. So when we think about those dynamics together, meaning really a high admission ticket to enter the industry with a lot of people that are trying to enter, it creates a pretty unique dynamic in the market. And we think about that as the market telling us that, and I'm going to steal a phrase, it's really about the ands, A-N-D-S, not the ors, meaning that the market is really saying it's no longer sufficient to be safe or compliant or cost effective. What the market is saying is that you must be safe and compliant and cost effective in order to compete. And for us, that creates a really exciting time, meaning that there are operators that are looking for new and different and innovative solutions in order to lower that ticket of admission in order to more effectively compete.
That concludes Midstream Connect for July. We'd like to thank our sponsors. We'll return next month. Until then, let's stay connected.
To stay up to date on the most recent Hart Energy videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking here.